welcome to our second podcast of 2024, which sits on the cusp of January and February. Can I start by saying a big hello to the 4 fans at the Millwall game in Block B, Row X, who sadly recognised me, and to the group who toured the training ground last Thursday with me. So a big hello to you guys. As usual, we will quickly review the games since our last podcast and then predict those coming up soon, and finally mull over those really important topics. To help me with all of that, I have Simon, who's come off the bench as a last-minute substitution. Many thanks for joining me, Simon.
Oh, you're welcome, Brian. Thank you for having me.
Right. No, it's all my pleasure, I tell you. So straight on to a quick review of our last 3 league games. QPR against Watford was the one that started it off on Sunday, the 14th of January. And we lost that one 1-2. Then we had the Millwall game, which we won 2-0. And then the last one was on Sunday, QPR against Huddersfield, which we drew 1-1. So those league results translate into 4 points out of a possible 9. Our league position didn't change at all, and we're now on 25 points. So let's quickly discuss those results and performances, if we may. Simon, the loss against Watford seemed to me like the great escape in reverse in a way, because Steve McQueen was making a daring motorcycle leap back into the prison camp, whilst the Millwall game just showed that we really are capable of what we really are capable of producing. You know, we can get good results when we want to. And the Huddersfield game suffered, to me, from 2 sides that were playing not to lose rather than to win. Is that a fair summary, Simon, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. It's strange because the one game where we seemed to create the most chances was the one game we lost in that real mixed bag of results. You know, it kind of like sums up our season so far, doesn't it? We just rue those missed chances. Sinclair Armstrong, it just a confident Sinclair Armstrong would have buried both of those chances, and we would have been, away, home and dry. Instead, it's the same old story. They go down the other end of the pitch, 2 very similar goals in quick succession, and we're chasing again, as we have been all season in situations like that. We're chasing the game, left ourselves to too much to do. We almost did it with Dykes, and then of course Dunn had that shot, which was typically amazingly saved.
It's impressive
right at the end. But again, it's just been the story of our season, really. We played well and didn't really get the reward for that one. The Millwall one was really, it kind of like emphasised we really do need to get that first goal. We get that first goal and we look like a different team. We relax. It's at first 20 minutes, very scrappy. Thankfully, we get that goal. Yeah. We relax. I think it's the first sort of game in a long time where I actually felt quite early on that we're going to win this.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I think there's that one clearance off the line, but apart from that, which wasn't really that dramatic for a clearance, it's quite standard. But I think we certainly deserved to win that, and I felt we were going to win that one. And of course, thankfully we did, and then Sinclair got that one right at the end. And then obviously, Huddersfield, what a disappointment that was.
Yeah.
Really, really was. I felt if that had been a Tuesday night game, right after the Millwall game, I think we would have won that, or at least had a much more of a say in the game. But as the week went on, we seemed to, even myself, I got a bit more nervous as the week went on. I lost that sort of confidence that we had straight after Millwall. Whether that's the same with the players, I don't know. But I feel that had been a Tuesday night game under the lights, rather than a 1:30 game on a Sunday afternoon, which is never really it's not a great slot.
True.
No, and I just feel we kind of lost the momentum during the week for that. And it like you say, it was almost like we were playing for a draw. I think I give a bit more credit to Huddersfield. I think they seem to come out, certainly second half, they seem to come out and go for the win. But yeah, the only I'm clutching at straws a bit, but the only kind of thing I can take from it is I'm just so glad we didn't take the lead and then concede in the 95th minute. I think we'd been on our knees. I think that really would have taken the wind out of our sails going forward now. So whether there's a little bit of momentum we can take from that, I don't know. But yeah, you're right, Brian. It was disappointing, that one.
Okay, one other question for you here. During referee Stephen Martin's card fest on Sunday, amongst those 7 yellow cards were both Jack Colback and Sam Field. Not unusual, but it now means that Field will miss the next 2 games. How big a loss to the team do you think he'll be, and who do you think will step into his position, do you think, Simon?
I think it will be a loss. I don't think it would be as much of a loss. All right, we're in a different situation than we have been in previous seasons. He's not been at his best, but then again, no one really has. So it will be a loss. I think Dixon Bonner, I guess, it'd be good to see him come in again. I like him. He's a good player. So I presume that'll be the natural fit. And yeah, I do worry about now, obviously, Colback. If Colback picks up a yellow at Blackburn, I think he's then out for the subsequent game.
Yeah.
So about which isn't in the realms of possibility that he might pick up a yellow, which would mean we miss Field and Colback for that'd be the Norwich game, won't it?
Yes, it would be. Yeah.
So we've got to be really, really careful there. It will be a loss, but we've got to just look at it as opportunity, really, for Dixon Bonner.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think you might end up with somebody like Lakesh or Parle playing instead of Colback if we do get to the situation that we're all expecting, where both of them are out. But anyway, I mean, from my perspective, Watford was yet again another game that we could and should have won. Better finishing, better defending, all things you've said. So then you come along to the return match with Millwall, and that just shows what tenacious defending and attacking can actually achieve. Huddersfield, it's just one of those games where most of all, neither side wanted to lose, as I said before. So it was scrappy, which suited Huddersfield far better than us. And it took ages for the R's to get composed, it seemed. Their goal was clearly offside. I mean, there's no getting away from it. I don't often advocate VAR, but in this case, I wish we'd had it. But there we go. You have to live with these things. That draw suited Huddersfield far more than it did us, and it may yet cost us hugely in terms of payments if we do end up going down. I think somebody said something like 7 million is lost by doing that. Anyway, let's get on to our next 4 fixtures. QPR against Norwich. Now they are much further up the table. They're on 9th, 41 points, and they're going through a mixed bag at the moment. But we seem to play quite well against sides like Norwich. So what do you reckon on this one? Win, draw, or loss?
It's a tough one. I think Norwich are one of those teams that you think they could make a very late run at the playoffs if they stick some results together. They always feel like one of those bigger teams in the league. I think that will be a tough one. I think that might be a loss, that one. I'll definitely take a draw there.
Okay. Then we got the midweek one after that. We're starting to move back into midweek games. It's Stoke against QPR. They're 19th, not that far from us. 32 points, but they're on a draw and winning streak, and really as it goes at the moment. So win, draw, or loss?
I think a draw there. Yeah, it's one of those teams we've got to try and drag back in, aren't they? So yeah, I'll take a draw.
Okay, and the last one is Bristol City against QPR. That's on the following Saturday on 17th of February. They're sitting 13th, so mid-table, 37 points. We've seen them on the cup run. They're doing really well on there. And they've got a mixed bag of one win, couple of losses and a couple of draws, I think. Yeah, it is. That's right. So what do you reckon? Win, draw, or loss?
Yeah, I'm going to go for another draw again. Another real inconsistent team. Hopefully the cup run they're on might just take their focus off a little bit. League-wise, they're too good to go down, I think, and I don't think they're good enough to make the playoffs. So hopefully, the focus might be
complacency.
It's a bit early to be on the beach in February. I don't know, but
could be.
Yeah, let's hope so.
All right. Well, 3 of those 4 games are away, which normally would be a negative for a club, but not QPR, I think.
No,
Um,
it doesn't seem to be.
and then the Norwich one, just to be contrary, I think it's a good chance for revenge here and sneak a win
Okay.
before Christmas, from the
Yeah.
game before Christmas. I'm going to go for a win. And then Stoke, that may be a bigger challenge. It's midweek. We don't seem to play well midweek for some reason. And it's just following the Norwich game where I think we'll probably give 100% and likely to be a chilly night game. So I'm going for a draw on this one.
Okay.
And that leaves us with Bristol City. I'm going for a draw on that as well, sad to say.
Yeah.
Uh, let's hope I'm wrong and we get wins for all four. I'd love it. Okay, on to the topics. We're nearing the end of the January transfer window, as you know, and our aim here is to review what has happened and, if possible, what should have happened. So, did we get all the transfers in you wanted, Simon? Was it perhaps more like we got what we could afford?
Yeah, it seems that way, doesn't it? We got the one over the line, Michael Frey. I didn't know. I'll be honest, I did not know about. I tried to Google him, and I think I came away with more questions than answers really about his career. Stats wise, he looked pretty good at Antwerp, wasn't he? Royal Antwerp. Then I think maybe he had a bit of falling out there and went to Schalke on loan, and it looks like the wheels have come off a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you say, we are shopping in the bargain bin of European football, aren't we? Really, so we've got to take what we can get. My only concerns, he does seem quite similar to Dykes in the way he plays and certainly his stature. But my real concern would be match fitness. I mean, how fit is he? Are we going to burn up 5-6 games just trying to get him match fit? You look at Reggie Cannon. How long he's been with us? 3 months now, maybe a bit longer. And I still don't think he's.
Yeah.
I don't think he's match fit now. Certainly not 100%, as Sunday perhaps proves.
Yeah.
So that's a concern. I would have liked another creative midfielder, but I mean they're expensive. And the other thing with Frey, he's not that pacey sort of fox in the box, is he? That we're kind of crying out for.
You're dead right about that. I think he is much more an old-fashioned centre forward.
Yeah, like Dykes really. But like you say, we've got to shop what we can get. We can. It is a bit disheartening when you see a team like Hull City have got Carvalho from Liverpool on loan. But we've got to cut our cloth accordingly, unfortunately. So there we go on that one.
I've said for 3 seasons that we need to get a striker in who's able to regularly, slot away goals. The stats back me up in this, and so does the reaction of almost all the fans. So that should really have been addressed in the summer. Instead, we're now trying to go, as you say, through in January, the worst time possibly to do it. And okay, we've got Michael Frey on board from Royal Antwerp. I think he's 29 or something. It's a few good years in him yet, hopefully. But he needs to be a good finisher. He's not been that prolific of late. I think that's largely due to his loans, out to various clubs. But who knows? As our defence is getting sounder, when they're all fit, that is, it's likely that our future in the Championship may well rest with Michael Frey's efforts, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he is comparable slightly to Chris Martin last season, who, he's much maligned on in some circles, isn't he? But his goal at Burnley essentially went a long way to keeping us up.
Yes.
So, if he only gets one goal for us and it's the one that keeps us up, then it's a great signing. So we'll see.
That will be another Zamora moment. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, turning to those that have gone out the door marked exit, we've got Andre Dazelle, who's gone out on loan to Birmingham for probably his last 6 months at the club, it looks like. And Duke McKenna's gone to Sutton on loan. Do you think these are good moves?
I think so, yeah. I mean, the Dazelle, it's been said before, the games just seem to pass him by, really. He's just too much of a passenger. I don't think he knows his role necessarily. Is he a box-to-box midfielder? Is he a ball-winning holding midfielder. Well, no, he's not, because we've got Cole back and Field for that. What does he do? I don't think he seems to know what he does. And since he's been there, we've had quite a few managers come for the club who nobody seems to have got hold of him and tell him exactly what they want from him. I think he missed a trick, or the management missed a trick when Willock was out in the cold. They perhaps should have pushed him forward. I would have liked to have seen that.
Yeah.
But yeah, just too anonymous in too many games for me. He had that one really good game, didn't he, up at Borough earlier this season, where he scored that worldie, and I thought, great, the penny's dropped. This is it. We've got a player here, but he just drifted back, and that was it. I mean, it's a shame.
I honestly don't. I can't work out why he hasn't, once he's found the groove, stayed in it and got it to work.
Yeah.
I'm like you. I'm really puzzled. Because I think there is a good player in there. It's just that we've not been able to get him out. I don't know why.
No. Whether Mowbray at Birmingham, obviously he sees something. I'm not quite sure what, but
I was. Good luck to him. If he turns out right, that's fine, and it's something we couldn't do.
No.
Okay. The last question, I guess, on that is: should we be grateful that we've still got Chair, Willock, Parle, and Field as the door starts to close?
Well, certainly for Chair. I think if we were to lose Chair, I think we're dead in the water, really, aren't we? He's our only creative outlet, and I think that is basically just holding our hands up and saying that's it. The rest, I think, certainly Willock maybe needs to be moved on. Whether now clubs will just wait, I think, until he runs down his contract. He seems out the door himself. I guess the club, being in the positions it's in, will take any sensible or probably any reasonable offer really now. But if we want to be serious about staying up, we've got to hang on to Chair. And then obviously seeing where we are next season, I certainly wouldn't begrudge him moving on in the summer. If we are in League One, he doesn't deserve to be in League One with us,
No,
he's a far better player for that. And I think there won't be a QPR fan that would begrudge him, moving back up the ladder.
He's worked hard for us. In fact, if truth be known, he's worked too hard for us, which is the reason sometimes why he stays on the ball, just trying to do more.
Absolutely.
But maybe now that Michael Fry's on the horizon, perhaps he'll pass the ball a bit quicker and goals.
He might have an outlet now. Yeah, you never know.
All right, let's move on to another topic. Chris Ramsey's departure as head of the training academy mid-season, I think it was a real surprise to start the new year with. But the club wasn't content with just that. Next, we heard that Lee Hoos was stepping down as CEO, and he's going to be replaced by a 27-year-old Christian Nori from Britexo, and still no director of football. Do you see these as separate events, Simon, or part of a strategy, perhaps?
I think maybe the Chris Ramsey is maybe a separate event with a view to the future. I'm glad it's been addressed, the lack of academy or development players that have made their way up to not just the first 11, but even the first team. I know, obviously, there are a few in and around it now, Coley, for example, but there's been such a lack of quality talent coming up from the academy over the last few years. Obviously, now they've built this wonderful new facility, and the club, they're going to want to see a return on that. So I think Ramsey is perhaps carrying the can for not producing what the club wanted, and they obviously feel that they need a change. And if that means we can get somebody else in who can start producing these players, we're going to need to, because if we're in a financial position where we can't buy in ready-made first 11 players and we're not producing them from the academy, then we're in a real pickle, because it leaves us with free agents or players that have been released, and they come with their own problems. So we've really got to tap into this resource of the academy, and it's got to work for us, and it hasn't been so far. Hopefully this new complex will bear fruit soon, but you're looking at a couple of years at the very least for that.
Yeah, you're right. Although I would mention that the under-18s are doing particularly well.
That's true. Yeah,
Um, and maybe that is the Chris Ramsey legacy for all we know. I don't know. I mean, I can't help wondering whether his departure, despite the club saying differently, is related to the legal case that one of the players, young junior players, has brought against him. Um, anyway, either way, it doesn't make it any easier when you're talking about needing a new director of football for this length of time.
no,
Uh, I, instead of a director of football, we've ended up with Ritexo, the recruiters, picking their own guy to be the new CEO,
yeah.
which is
I mean,
a bit of
him
a
coming out, he was. I think he was brought in to audit the club at first, wasn't he? Or his company was
yep,
brought in to audit the club.
yep.
So I guess in a way he hasn't discovered any kind of like ticking financial time bombs or anything like that because he's come on board. So I guess that is maybe a good sign. I don't know, but again, it is a bit of a worry because he doesn't seem to have a background in football business. He seems to have a background, but not actually hands-on football, which is
He's very approachable. I have to say. I mean, as I alluded to earlier on Thursday, I was as a QPR bondholder. I was down there with a small group doing the tour,
yeah,
and we were standing outside the boardroom, and I knew that the CEO's office was just around the corner. I didn't say anything, and about I think three youngsters, teenagers, drifted into the boardroom. Somebody escorted them in, and then they went away. And then he came round the corner to go into the boardroom, saw us, and stopped and said hello and whatever, which is really nice. I'm not sure if the youngsters were new board members. They're getting younger and younger, as you know.
yeah.
But but
Or are we getting older?
I think that maybe they were his kiddies. I don't know. But it was nice to see him, and he's very presentable. Um, but I just don't know what to make of all this at the moment. We've got so much upheaval going on, and what we really need is to focus on the pitch,
Yeah,
not
I mean
performances off it.
it did need to change. Something needs to change at the very top, but
Mm,
it's changed. But there doesn't really seem to have been the forward thinking to have somebody in place for the director of football job.
yes,
Yeah, it's cleared the decks, but not really gone the next step, which is a bit of a concern.
yeah, it is. I agree. Okay. The last thing I was going to go through, I was hoping that at this point in the season we'd be talking, amongst ourselves about how we would make the playoffs. Would we make them or not? Instead, I find
I
myself
don't think we will.
asking you, Simon, whether we'll manage to stay up or not. Do you think we'll stay up?
I always try and be an optimistic, glass half full sort of person, but it's tried my patience this season. I My only real concern, I think, with obviously with the Huddersfield game, they're still 3 points ahead, but I think it's going to be. It looks like 3 from 4 at the minute, so it
Yeah.
just takes Huddersfield to go on a good run, and they could be out of sight. And they've just sacked their manager, so they're going to bring somebody in, maybe a bit of
It
a
could be John Eustace.
yeah, or Warnock.
That
So
would
you
be
mentioned
bad
Warnock.
news.
They might have pushed the Warnock button again, like they did last season. But we really need some of those, the Stokes, the Birminghams, even the Blackburns. We need to just drag them back down. There's another gap above Huddersfield to Birmingham, isn't there? I mean, there's
Yeah.
17 games to go. I mean, every time I look at it, I think every time we'll know more in a couple of games, but that doesn't seem to really happen. I'd like to think we can, and I think we can. Yes.
Okay. No, I mean that's fair enough. I mean, I'm not going to sort of criticize you for not making a definite decision because I don't think anybody at this stage knows. But I mean, with every game that's lost and every game that's drawn, we end up a bit closer to League One.
Yeah.
Um, with every game we win, our hopes are raised. Like at Millwall, probably too high. We overdo it each time. But if I extrapolate our current tally of points, which is 25, through the rest of the season, it comes out with a total of only 40 points. So
Mm,
that tells you a lot about our performance to date.
yeah.
And that is pure relegation. There's no question about it.
Yeah, and we've still got Sheffield Wednesday behind us, who aren't that far behind as well. So
No, and playing well. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, in last season you had Reading, and they were relegated on 44 points as the third side to go down. And I think this season it's even closer in terms of the groupings at the bottom, to be honest.
Yeah.
At the moment. And in the 2018-19 season, I believe I'm right in saying that we finished up 19th on 48 points. So given how tight this season is, I think we probably need to have 50 points to stand a chance of survival.
Yeah,
and that means at least another 3 wins above what our form is showing.
Yes, exactly.
To date. We've got 17 matches in which to turn this around. It's not impossible, but it's a tall order if we get lots of injuries and lots of suspensions, because our depth in quality, quality in depth is really poor.
Well, yeah, the squad it's paper thin, really. We've got a half decent first 11, but it's just getting those 11 players on the pitch at any regular time. Like, you know, as you mentioned, this Saturday we won't have Field. We probably won't have Cannon.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure whether Kake is back from Africa yet or not. I must admit, I thought on last Thursday I saw him training, but obviously I was wrong. But the other thing that, of course, is as well as what we're talking about here in terms of pushing whatever, it's got to be goals. Goals is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
We've got to score more goals than we concede, and we're doing well in defence at the moment. Steve Cook and JCS are marvellous pairing, doing really, really well.
Absolutely, yeah. Goals will keep you up. Clean sheets won't, unfortunately.
Well, Neda Manua today said in the media that he thinks we'll survive. So let's just hope he's right. I mean, I've got a lot of faith in the guy, so let's hope he's right.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
I hate to end our podcast on a downbeat, but I have to be honest. Anyway, our time is up. All that remains is for me to thank Simon, my guest, for agreeing to be on this podcast.
Thank you, Mark. You're welcome.
No, you're great. Thank you very much as well. Editor Dave, of course, for his efforts, and you for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube channel, then do click subscribe, and feel free to add a comment or two below. You know, we always do try and reply to you. I'm Brian Fisher, and this has been a Hoops and Dreams QPR podcast. Let's hear your support at the next home games. It matters. Come on, you R's.
We know who we are. You know who we are. We are QPR.